Hello, hello, Azala Foss here. In midsummer of 2023, Hololive introduced its third wave of English VTubers, called Hololive English Advent. The girls of Advent were quick to steal the hearts and minds of fans across the web. Now, about a year later since their debuts, the girls have gotten their 3D showcases and celebrated their 1-year anniversary. What better way to celebrate Advent's achievements than to reimagine them as Pokemon trainers? Trust me on this, y'all. It's gonna be great. I promise. But before we get this show on the road, let's go over some ground rules. As with my other Pokemon videos, there are 3 rules I'm using when developing these Pokemon teams. Firstly, each VTuber will be assigned a specific Pokemon typing, much like the gym leaders in Elite Four of the mainline Pokemon games. In the case of Fuomoko, they will share a single typing since they work together as a pair. The second rule is that all but one of the VTuber's Pokemon must match the assigned type. Last but not least, the one not matching type Pokemon must be connected to the VTuber's lore, aesthetic, or personality. Now that we've gone over the ground rules, it's about time I introduce the first member of Advent. It's the goth book nerd who subjects her novelites to random tangents and unhinged musings, the archivist Shiori Novella. Since Shiori has an out-of-this-world ability to amaze fans and coworkers alike, what better type to assign her than the psychic type? The first of Shiori's Pokemon is Espathra, and it's not just because of its fashionable appearance. Espathra is described as being able to immobilize opponents through their eyes. Shiori is similarly able to keep people glued with her quirky and adorable personality. Plus, I can't imagine a better partner in crime for Shiori to consensually step on her fans than the psychic ostrich. But let's go on to Shiori's second Pokemon, Farigiraf. The creature's sentient hood around its face reminds me of the archivist's own off-the-shoulder coat. Additionally, the imagery of Farigiraf's hoodie brings to mind that it's in its own little world, something that's fairly accurate to Shiori as well. The archivist's third team member would be Hatterene. Perhaps with a Pokemon that will attack people that don't pass its vibe check, Shiori would rein in her more yabai moments. But I kinda doubt it. The fourth Pokemon, Meowstic, alludes to the Nyakuza salt and pepper. In addition, the inner ear of the Pokemon supposedly has eye markings, which fits in with Shiori's aesthetic. The archivist's next Pokemon is Ranunculus, a creature meant to stand in for Shiori's slimy sidekick, Yorick. As well as matching Yorick's plasma consistency, the fact that Ranunculus prefers to use its fists to fight rather than its psychic powers seems fitting for the hand-throwing idol. Lastly, Shiori's non-type matching Pokemon is Porygon Z. According to Bulbapedia, Porygon Z was a failed experiment, which led to the creature becoming erratic and strange. I think the Pokemon would feel kinship to the trainer that, lore-wise, was ostracized due to a requirement of forbidden knowledge. Though, it's debatable how helpful Porygon Z would be in battle, but I don't think Shiori would mind. Let's move on to the Gem of Emotion, the Moai Moai Kyun Maho Shoujo Koseki Bijou. It's pretty obvious that the rock type would be Bibu's forte, but there will be much more variety than many of the rock type Pokemon of a certain dinosaur bounty hunters team. If you haven't seen my video making Holostar's Ian Armis into Elite Four trainers, take a look after the video. Bibu's non-matching type Pokemon, Tinkaton, is the first on her roster. If Bibu's recent 3D debut is anything to go by, her and Tinkaton would definitely have fun knocking around pebbles with their respective hammers. Her second Pokemon, Corsola, is highly regarded for its horn in the Pokemon world, even being used for jewelry and sculptures. What better than a precious stone Pokemon to match with the precious gem of emotion? The next Pokemon is Aurorus, an obvious choice since it has ice crystals along its sleek body. The Pokemon can also change colors, much like Bibu's own gem on her chest. They can probably get a side hustle being freelance strobe lights. Bonsly takes the 4th spot on Bibu's team, mainly because of its cuteness and being small. Bijou would probably appreciate having a creature that's smaller than her. Next is Nosepass. It'd be ridiculous not to have a fellow Moai rock to support the Moai Moai Kyun gem, right? Finally, Bibu's last team member is Minior. According to Bulbapedia, many Minior fall to Earth and yearn to return to their home in space. Perhaps being with Bibu and the other Pokemon of her team would ease the Pokemon's loneliness, if only a little bit. I can think of no one better to cheer someone up than Bibu. Now we transition from the warm, fuzzy feelings of the Gem of Emotion to the enticing melodies of the Demon of Sound. Yes, I'm talking about the darling Nerissa Ravencroft. Much like with Bibu, the typing for Nerissa is pretty obvious, as the dark type fits with her lore as well as her mischievous nature. The first Pokemon of Rissa's team is Absol. According to Bulbapedia, the creature is often misunderstood as causing natural disasters and is feared due to this. Within Nerissa's lore is that she was imprisoned and had some of her power taken away due to her love of singing potentially causing madness. I think Rissa and Absol, then, would be birds of a feather. Pun totally intended. Next is Rissa's non-matching type Pokemon, the Evolution Vaporeon. As well as Vaporeon being one of Nerissa's favorite Pokemon, I think the creature is also a great allusion to the meaning of her first name, as Nerissa means sea nymph in ancient Greek. There is definitely no sus association connected with Vaporeon at play here, let alone something not safe for work. Really. The third Pokemon, Bombardier, is one of 3 bird Pokemon that the Demon of Sound has in her roster. As well as having a similar elegance and charm as its trainer, Bombardier also enjoys dropping rocks from its feathery apron, often on unsuspecting victims. Rissa's jailbirds surely aren't strangers to the strange bombshells of sus comments made by their Oshi. Honchkrow, meanwhile, was chosen for the 4th spot for the simple reason of being a crow. Haka got Murkrow for his own Pokemon team in the Tempest Vanguard video, which, if you haven't seen already, you can watch after finishing this video. Just be warned, the video was made when I didn't have the best sound quality. So, unlike the Demon of Sound, you may need to turn up the volume to hear it. But enough video plugging. The next Pokemon is Alolan Raticate, which was picked due to its refined taste in food. Rissa can have her own personal taste tester for the meals she cooks, especially for her soups. The last of the songstress's Pokemon is Vullaby. I mean, who else is going to teach Nerissa the importance of wearing underwear after all? Last but not least, we have the fluffy and fuzzy dog duo of Advent. Give a loud bow bow to Fuwawa and Mokoko, known to all as Fuamoko. These adorable sisters are inseparable, and I found that the typing with the most dual pairings available are the normal types. Sheesh, first Raura, now Fuamoko. What is it with animal girls having normal types? Coincidental patterns aside, I'll be treating Fuomoko like the twin battle trainers you'd see in Pokemon post-Generation 3, like the gym leaders Tate and Liza. With that in mind, the first couple Pokemon for both Fuwawa and Mokojan is Furfrou. I've chosen the La Rain form for Fuwawa and the Matron form for Mokoko, as they match with their trainers' color schemes. The twins probably cut their Furfrou's fur themselves with their claws. Just imagine how many failed haircuts there would have been until the girls perfected these hairstyles. Next is a Fuwawa-specific Pokemon, Togekiss. Since this Pokemon is known to inhabit peaceful places, the mostly calm older sister would likely be the best fit as a trainer. Mokoko, meanwhile, will have Tandemaus as their individual Pokemon. Since the younger sister is much more energetic than Fuwawa, Mokoko and Tandemaus would be a triple threat of chaotic energy. The last two Pokemon will be Fuwamoko's non-type matching Pokemon. Since they're a duo, I figure that giving each twin their own critter would still fit within my ground rules. I love a good loophole. So without further ado, the last two of the roster are the tag team Pokemon, Minun and Plusle. The color schemes, the plus-minus theming, the team dynamic, they're a perfect match with the fluffy fuzzy duo. Well, that about wraps up my breakdown of Holo Advent Pokemon teams. Were there any Pokemon you think would have worked better for the girls? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe if you're so kind. I hope to see y'all soon in my next video. Toodaloo!